Is this the perfect time and the best time in recent history for you to be purchasing your first home? That's what we're going to cover today. My name is Samuel Johnny. I'm the branch manager of the Southwest Funding Office in Southfield, Michigan. I've been in the mortgage industry for several years, and I've helped, 100 or so families finance homes and realize their dreams of home ownership. That's what I'm passionate about. I do these videos as a way for me to educate prospective buyers and current homeowners as to the recent changes in our industry, and really just get some face time with you all and give people an opportunity to ask questions and just stay abreast of what's going on in the mortgage and housing industry. So today we're going to answer this question, and these are my theories, so don't look at this as, hey, this is Bible, these are facts. No, these are my theories. This is what I think. This is my opinion, and I'd like to get some feedback from you all as well. But this is why I believe this is the best time for a first-time home buyer to go into the housing market looking to get that first property, okay? Well, anytime you're looking at any type of good or service, the price is going to be dependent upon the supply and the demand, okay? So right now, we have a very, very significant issue with our housing market here in Michigan and nationwide for the most part. But when I speak of our market, I'm going to be talking about the Michigan market because that's where I finance most of my properties at. So when we're looking at the Michigan market, we have instances where you have someone going into a property, submitting an offer on that property, full asking, and then instead of them getting a response like, hey, we accept the offer, it's exactly what we were looking for, we listed it for $150,000, you offered us $150,000, the buyer is being countered saying, okay, we're going highest and best. Highest and best, for those of you that don't know what that means, is they've received multiple offers. They, as in the seller has received multiple offers, and now they want your highest and your best offer, as if your actual offer that met what they requested in terms of a list price wasn't enough. So they want you to bid against yourself, essentially. So now you and 10 other people that are looking to buy this single property have to bid against yourself and basically have to come to the table and say, okay, I'm going to offer you above your asking price. Instead of $150,000, I'm going to give you $150,000. So you're in a situation where you're in a bidding war against other people that are looking to buy the same property, and you don't know if the house is going to appraise for $150,000. You don't know if it's going to appraise for $160,000 for that matter. And now you're in a situation where every house you go to, there's going to be 9 other people that didn't get that property that are going to be following you to the next. So it's creating bidding wars. It's a highest and best situation in most cases. They may not accept the terms that you're pre-approved for. So you may be an FHA pre-approved buyer and they may only accept conventional, or they may be looking at a situation where they have a cash offer on the table. So it's a very, very difficult time if you're looking to purchase a home. But if you end up getting your offer accepted and you get into a home, it can be very lucrative over the near future. And that's what I believe, okay? So let's look at some things, and I'll kind of explain this to you in a grade school manner, and we'll do some supply and demand curve. I'll try not to get too nerdy on you all, but let's just look at why I believe this is the best time, okay? So if you're looking at any good, okay, you're going to have your price, you're going to have your quantity, and excuse my handwriting, but you're going to have your price, and you're going to have your quantity, okay? And then you're going to have your demand curve, all right? You're going to have your supply, all right? So look at this as the supply of homes on the market. So this is the Michigan inventory, and then this is the demand for people that are looking to purchase homes, okay? All right, so if the supply of properties is low, so that means that people are not willing to sell their homes, there are not enough homes on the market, and you have one home where you have 10 people submitting an offer on it, and only one person can get that home. So that means that the supply is low, inventory is low. So you're going to move this supply curve to the left, okay? So you're going to move it to the left on a quantity scale. All right, so you're going to move it to the left. Let me use a different color for that. All right, so you're moving the supply to the left. All right, so you got the hot pink for that, moving the supply to the left, okay? All right, at the same time, you have your demand, okay? So just because supply is low doesn't mean that people don't want houses, okay? People still need housing. People are still looking to move into a property. and people are still looking to move out of their parents' house. You have companies moving into the state. So demand is either going to remain constant or it's going to increase over time. So let's assume that demand increases over time. And now you have this situation where your demand curve moves to the right. All right, so now what does that do to our price? All right, so price is going to be based on the equilibrium, okay? So this is our new equilibrium. Originally, our equilibrium was down here. Let's say this was a $100,000 house. All right, so 100K. And now let's say you're looking at 200K. All right, so now this $100,000 house, let's say 5 years later, it costs $200,000 for the same property. That's an aggressive increase and an aggressive return on your investment, but let's just use this as hypothetical terms. It's going to be an increase in this market. All right, so we go from 100,000 to 200,000, but you see the equilibrium price moves up because we have that shortage in the inventory or supply of homes. And when you have a shortage, but you have constant demand, well, now the demand drives the price of a good up. Think of it in terms of Jay-Z. Think of it in terms of the Jay-Z concert, okay? Jay-Z's coming to Little Caesars Arena or whatever the new arena is downtown for the Red Wings. They're coming there, or he's coming there this fall, okay? So imagine, if he wasn't going there. Imagine if he was going to the Fox Theater, all right? The amount of seats available at the Little Caesars Arena, there are a lot more seats or supply than there is at the Fox Theater, okay? So if he was performing at the Fox Theater and you have, 10,000 seats versus 40,000 seats available at the Little Caesars Arena, well, what are people going to be willing to do? They're going to be willing to pay more to get into the Fox Theater because there is a chance they might not be able to get into there because there's a fewer amount of seats available. So anytime you have something where there are fewer, there's less supply, but there's an increased demand for that good, then it's going to drive prices up. And everyone needs a house. Everyone needs a property. So there's always going to be demand for housing unless you decide to live outside. All right, so that puts you in a situation where it's going to drive prices up. All right, so that's where our current market is. You're getting full asking offers, all right, and sellers are willing to just say, okay, we're going to go highest and best because they have multiple offers. So they know for certain that they're going to get their asking price or even more, okay? So what does that put you in as a situation as a buyer, okay? There are generally three types of buyers. All right, so you got your first time buyer. Get this off. All right, so you got your first time home buyer. All right, so your first time home buyer is generally looking at a home that's going to be in the $100,000 to $200,000 range. Those are the homes that are going the fastest right now because in most cases when I'm doing a pre-approval, my first time home buyers, the majority of people qualify for a home that's $100,000 to $200,000. You're looking at a mortgage payment of anywhere between $800 to $1,500 a month. So in most cases, you're going to qualify for that $100,000 to $200,000 home, which means you're going to have a greater supply of potential buyers that are looking for those properties. So you have this first-time home buyer that's competing against a lot more people than a second-time home buyer, okay? So this is your second-time home buyer. So HB stands for home buyer. All right, so the second-time home buyer, they're going to be looking at a home that's generally $300,000 plus, anywhere between $300,000 to, I would say, $400,000 on average, even $500,000 depending upon the situation. But that second-time home buyer, they're less willing to compromise because they are already in a property. They've been in their first home for 5 years. They're looking to go into their potential forever home, their dream home, and they have a family. They already have roots grounded in a specific community, or they're looking to move into a specific community to get their kids in those specific schools. So that second time home buyer, they're already in a property and they know exactly what they want going into their next property. So they're less willing to compromise than this first time home buyer. This first time home buyer is trying to get something that they like, something that they can afford, and something that's in a good neighborhood with a decent school district. This second time home buyer, they're a little bit more settled. They're in their 30s to 40s, mid 40s, and they're like, hey, I need something that I'm going to be wild, something that's going to be impressive to me and my family and friends. So they're looking for something that they're going to, pretty much be impressed with. They're going to love it, and that could potentially be their forever home. First-time home buyers are a different situation, okay? So the first-time home buyer, we're looking at 100 to 200,000. This is around 300K plus. All right, and then you have your third-time home buyer, which is in most cases, your baby boomers. And your baby boomers, they're looking to either downsize or they're looking to get their forever home as well, because they probably didn't get their forever home when they bought the second time around. So they're coming in, the second-time home buyer and this third-time home buyer, they're looking for things that are going to meet their needs and their wants. That first-time home buyer, they're looking more so, okay, let me meet my needs and let me stay within my budget because I'm not going to be here forever. But now you have a scenario in which the second-time home buyer, for them to sell to this first-time home buyer, they have to have somewhere to move, right? So where does that come in? What house are they going to buy? Okay, because right now, 300,000 plus in Michigan, when you have that supply and demand curve that has driven prices way up, 300,000 plus isn't going to get you what it would 5 to 10 years ago. 300,000 plus may not be a big change from what they're staying in right now. All right, so if they bought their house at 200,000 and now they're looking at a home at 300,000, they may not be able to perceive the value, and they may say, you know what, it's not worth us moving right now. Instead of us moving, let's do a cash out refinance. I do a lot of those. They may say, let's do a cash out refinance, take $50,000 of our equity, invest it into our current home, and stay here a little bit longer until we can find exactly what we want. This is the problem, okay? Builders. My handwriting's horrible, forgive me for that. Builders. And it's not necessarily the builders that are the problem. Right now, in my area, I see the same 4 builders constructing, okay? You don't have the situation that we had in 2007 and 2006 where you had 10 builders, or you had a multitude of subdivisions going up, and there were 60, 70 home subdivisions, some 100 home subdivisions. My subdivision has 48 homes, and it's one of the larger developments in our area. But most subdivisions have 20, 30, 40 properties in them, and they're all 400,000 plus. Builders are looking at it from a profit margin perspective and saying, okay, if I take the same lot size for a $300,000 home and a $400,000 home, but I can make an extra 50 grand on this $400,000 property, why not do that? So the builders that are in our market are the big builders like Lombardo Homes, you have Benchmark, you have Pulte, but these guys are, experienced, and they're not looking to build, the $300,000 property. So they're looking to build the home that's $400,000, $500,000, and then they're not building 100 property subdivisions, 100 property developments. So when you're looking at, this second time home buyer moving, that's a big jump from 100 to 200,000 to 400,000, and especially if there's still not enough homes being built. Okay, the amount of homes that were being built 10 years ago is drastically different than the amount of homes that are being built today. So, number one, you have a situation where there's a slight barrier to entry from this $200,000 home to this $400,000 and $500,000 home for new construction. And then you have a situation where there's still not enough homes being built to satisfy the demand. So that's going to continue to drive prices up. Builders are having issues getting financed, okay? Right now as a lender, it's hard to finance a builder for various different reasons. I'll go into that in a different video. But the big builders and the large builders that have been in the industry for 20 years, it's a lot easier for them to get financing than it is for a small builder that's saying, hey, I want to build 5 spec homes along this road or something like that. So it's a lot harder for them to get their financing. And the large builders, they're looking at it from a property and profit margin perspective and saying, okay, well, if we're going to do this, let's try and get the most value out of this development, and pretty much make $50,000 more than we would on a property that's $300,000 versus the $400,000 or $500,000 home that we could build on this same lot. So what you have is a shortage of builders being able to get approved for financing, and the current builders that are approved are building homes that are 400,000 or 500,000, which creates a barrier to entry for these second-time home buyers. And then the properties that are 300,000, the ones that they are trying to jump up to, they don't perceive enough value. So what are they going to do? They're going to stay put. So if they stay put, then that decreases the inventory, and now these first-time home buyers are having a hard time finding a property. I have the situation right now on a few of our deals in our office where we have people that have sold their homes, they're under contract, but they still haven't found the next property to move into. So that, so now you're in a situation where they're going to be asking for a 30-day occupancy, and they're going to have to basically become renters in their own homes before they can find their next property. And now we talk about the baby boomers. The baby boomers, they're in a situation where for them to downsize, they need to find something that's, a condo. It meets exactly what their needs are. They're not looking to pretty much carry all the maintenance of a large home in most cases. They're looking to downsize. So they need to find a condo. And that's the same thing, builders. So they're not able to find something that meets their needs, so they're staying put, okay? Or they're in a situation where they've locked in this great, fantastic interest rate from, 4 or 5 years ago, and they don't see any reason to move right now because interest rates are higher. And once again, because of our supply and demand, and as far as inventory, prices have gone up significantly. So for the first-time home buyer, what does this mean? The first-time home buyer is going to have a difficult time finding a seller to accept their offer, okay? That's just the reality. That's our new normal, okay? It's going to get better as time goes on, but I believe that over the next 5 years, you're going to see prices continue to go up because the demand is going to remain constant or it's going to increase. We have companies like Amazon, we have Topgolf moving in. We have these large corporations that are moving here, so there's going to be an influx of people that are moving here that are going to need housing. So that demand curve is going to continue to move to the right and going to continue to increase. But the supply curve, I think it's going to continue to stay flat. It's going to continue to stay flat, and the ratios for buyers to sellers, I believe you're going to be in a situation where there's 5 to 10 buyers for every one property. I had a property in Redford where the buyer went in and submitted an offer, and there were 22 offers on the property. The house was $150,000. So it's 22 offers on a property this March, and have all of those buyers that didn't get that property, have they found other properties in just a few months? You don't know. But that goes to show you that it's not hard to get pre-approved for a home, but it's hard to actually find a seller that's going to accept your offer because it's a seller's market, and then there's not enough homes for this second-time home buyer to move into it. And then this home buyer, they're in no rush. They're in no rush. Their family's gone, or their kids have gone off to college, so they're in no rush to move. So it creates a situation where this first-time home buyer is going to have to come in with a very strong offer. And I'm going to do a video where I specifically talk about how to get your offer accepted, okay? There are some very specific tactics that you need to use. You can't just submit an offer. Your real estate agent can't just send an offer in and just not contact the listing agent. They need to be more aggressive. So you need to work with a really aggressive buyer's agent to help you get into a property. And there's some other things, but I'll talk about that in the video. I'll probably do it next week or something like that. But this first-time home buyer, if you can get into a property, okay? If you can get into a property, I don't think that we're going to go from a situation where this spring we had 20 people trying to purchase a home until next spring we have a perfect ratio, or 2 people trying to purchase one home. I don't think it's going to change that quick. When there's such an inventory shortage as we have right now, I think that it's going to take a longer period of time, and I think we're going to have a prolonged period of time where we have this shortage, which causes prices to go up. And if prices go up and you get into a property right now as a first-time home buyer and you're looking to sell that property in 5 years, well, now that $150,000 house that you bought, now you're selling it for a 30%, 40%, or dare I even say 50% increase or profit margin to yourself. So now when you're going to buy your second home, and hopefully in 5 years, it's a lot easier for builders to attain financing. But when you're going to buy that second home, now you're walking in with $50,000, $60,000 in equity to put down to get you a house built, or to get the dream home that you wanted the first time around. So that's why, in my opinion, this is the best time for a first-time home buyer to buy a home. It's a catch-22 because you have to actually get your offer accepted by a seller to make this situation work in your favor. But if you can get your offer accepted, then you're golden for the next 5 years. The value of your property is going to increase significantly. And when you go to sell, you're not going to have any issue selling. Homes are literally sitting on the market for 2 days. And my motto, if it's granted, it's gone. It's gone in literally 24 to 48 hours. If a house is on the market for longer than 30 days without any offers, that just means that it's a lemon or it's grossly overpriced or something like that. But if you need to get pre-approved for financing, give me a call, 248-519-2117. Once again, my name is Samuel Johnny. I manage the Southwest Funding Office in Southfield, Michigan. So get out there. Try and persevere through it. It may take you a little while to purchase a home, but ultimately, once you get into that home, I believe that you're going to see some great returns, and that's going to set you up for that second home because you're going to walk in with the boatload of equity from the sale of your first property. So give me a call if you have any questions. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you guys think. 248-519-2117. Have a great day.